to stock. But today we're going to talk about the new S650.
Oh man, I am not gonna miss these seats.
All right, let's start this bad boy up.
Wearing your sunglasses the whole video?
I look cooler with the sunglasses on.
I look cool either way.
All right, guys, these are our opinions. They're gonna be different than yours. No, we don't know every single thing about the brand new Mustang like a lot of people that were up there. This is our opinion after having a night to sleep on it. We've read everything that's come out about it. We're not gonna go over every single fact and figure, but as Ford enthusiasts, as Mustang enthusiasts, as sports car enthusiasts, some guys that have owned regular GT, 350 and a 500, and done lots of mods, he's driven all of it. This is our opinions on where we think Ford's going with this, and did they make good decisions, bad decisions on all the different aspects of the new S650 Mustang. I probably know more about buying new Mustangs than anybody I know of.
So to start off, the most obvious thing that I saw, it's not electric at all. So you don't get any hybrid powertrains to start with. We're not talking about an electric version, none of that. The S650 is a V8 and a turbocharged 4-cylinder, just like it was before, with upgrades. So
thanks, Ford.
You know, everybody thought that this version would be the end of the Mustang,
especially with the Mach-E coming out. You think, okay, they're gonna put motors on the front, dumb it down with a V6. Didn't happen, and we're very happy about that.
There was a lot of people that thought the last version, the current version of the Mustang, was gonna be the last of the ICE Mustangs, but Ford got us, and here we are again. They're calling it the 650, but it's actually just a new iteration of the 550 in my opinion.
Better in a lot of ways, and we're going to talk about all those ways. Who would have thought Dodge is getting rid of, you know, most of their V8 stuff, and they're talking about going hybrid drivetrains and this electric Challenger and all this good stuff. And then we got Ford, who has already been in the electric game a lot more than Dodge, a lot, probably I would say maybe as much or more than GM. They've already kind of electrified their Mustang. We're looking at one right now. I'm trying not to puke. I
was gonna say, we already have an electric Mustang. It's called the Mach-E, but it's sorta, you know, it's not the same thing.
But Ford's out in front on releasing a new product with an upgraded, higher horsepower, you know, more cutting edge V8 than the prior gen, and Dodge seems to be going the other way. And guys, Dodge has kind of led the big V8. They've had the bigger displacement, but they've kind of led the big V8 and the rumble and the sports car, muscle car charge, and Ford's kind of been behind a little bit, but we may see a game change right here.
Yep.
We're gonna dive into the biggest things like the exterior looks, the interior looks, the powertrains, but I wanna point out something that I thought was extremely cool that they've announced, and that is that you're gonna be able to rev your non-manual Mustangs from the key fob.
Yeah.
That I've always wanted to do that, and we've looked at like, okay, what would we have to do from an electronic standpoint? But like with the sophisticated electronics in a newer vehicle, there's no way to do it. But Ford has actually done that. It's almost like they're listening to mine and your conversations at our garage on what would be cool. So
I know a lot of you guys are going, what kind of asshole wants to rev their car all the time? We do. That's us. Yeah.
I want to rev it when I'm not in it. I want to rev it when I'm walking up to it so I can hear it from outside. I will be able to take videos of that car and rev it from the fob without having to have somebody else in it. So yeah, there's gonna be a lot of digital shorts and tic tacs and all that good stuff with people revving their car from outside.
And if I gotta go get in my car to rev it, I can't hear it from the outside.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to hear it too.
Yep. It's an enthusiast thing. We appreciate it.
I want to talk about the looks, and I'm a little bit more passionate than Brad on this topic. I like the new front end and the new rear end. They didn't screw it up.
Yep.
They didn't totally change it to where it looks like a completely different car. It's just small changes. It looks a little bit more edgier, a little bit more like the future. I get that. I like it. You know, the taillights, they kept the design. They just changed it subtly.
They're sharper. They got a little bit more Mach-E flair to them, and that's not a bad thing, because that's one thing the Mach-E nailed was the rear tail lights, and the headlights are a little more futuristic. I've always thought that and I had a 2019 Mustang GT. It was kind of like a little bit more orange than Cyber Orange. I'll put it up here on the screen. I loved the car for the price point, the power, the muscle heritage. I didn't love the front end, and I almost changed out a bumper on it because it looked to me like a catfish.
And it kind of still does. Just a regular GT.
Yeah, GT and the EcoBoost stuff. When we got into the 350 and the 500, you had a lot better looking front end, in our opinion, because all this is our opinion, than a regular GT. Now, there's
it's grown on me, but you're right. When I first saw it, I was like, what? That looks like a catfish. You're exactly right.
We're going to get to stuff growing on people here in just a few minutes as well. But Sam, I interrupted you. Keep talking about the exterior stuff.
Well, the rear end and the front end, yay. It's just a step in the right direction, in my opinion. The headlights are cool. They do kind of look like a Camaro to me. There's something about it. You know what I'm saying. You can see it. Most people can. But
a lot of people say it looks like a Charger in the front end. I mean, muscle car. A Charger's a muscle car. It could be worse. It could look like an Alfa Romeo or a Volvo. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, it has to evolve, and they all take cues from each other.
What don't I like? I don't like. I mean, overall, the side profile, it's fine. I mean, it looks Mustang. What I don't like about the side profile, everything's smoothed off like a Dodge Challenger. And
it's smooth, and then the front and rear are real angular.
It's like, why did you make the side smooth and everything on the front and rear is very angular? And one thing I really like about the current generation, especially the 500 and everything, you have those body creases, and it really shows off those body lines, the sharp angles imprinted in the doors and everything, and the fenders. That's what made this car, and you just got rid of all of them. I don't know why you do that.
So if we're saying GT to GT, S550 to S650, the 550 probably takes it on the side profile. The 650 probably takes it on the front and rear. It's almost the same exact wheelbase, front to back. The rear overhang is a little bit less on the new Mustang. The hips are a little bit wider on the new S650.
Which is cool.
That's cool. That's always gives it more presence. So that's a good thing. Overall, it's subjective, and let's just go ahead and jump in. When the new C8 came out, what are the odds that I would have bought a C7 or below Corvette?
Zero.
It's absolutely zero. I'm a Ford guy. I will buy other stuff, and I've had a few other things, but when the C8 came out, I was like, it's mid-engine. It launches like a Tesla. Like, it's fast. It looks cool. You can take the top off, put it in the roof. I buy a C8. Now, I was 37 years old when I bought it. It brought in a different buyer. The deal is you got old guys that have bought the last 3 versions of the Corvette, and they won't buy the C8, except for, here we are 2 or 3 years later.
They're buying them like hotcakes.
They've seen the light, and they've came around to it. I guarantee you Chevrolet does not care, because they brought in a whole new segment of buyers, and they knew their old buyers would come along, and that was with a super radical transformation. This upgrade from a 650 from a
550 to the 650.
Yeah, it's just evolutionary. It's not like it's a totally new redesign.
What you were getting at is, and I've seen it all over the internet, everybody in the comments, you've got 2 factions right now. You've got the folks that love it, and you've got the folks that hate it. And most of the folks that hate it have a previous gen Mustang, whether an old Ford, whatever it is, and that's what you like because that's what you drive. And so they're in the comments, the new Mustang looks blah 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 blah, it's terrible, blah blah blah, I wouldn't buy one, I'll just stick with my 2012. And
your 2012 looks great, but in 2 or 3 years, 4 years, when it blows up, or when you run it into some people coming out of Cars and Coffee and total it, you're probably going to buy the new one, because you're going to get screen envy. We'll get to the interior in a minute. You're going to get power envy. You're going to get sound envy. Like, there's a lot of things to love that Ford's done. I compare this, and I'm jumping off topic here, but when Ford came out with the new Bronco, we're huge fans of it. If you don't know, if you're watching this as a Mustang guy, we've got the new Bronco. We've got an old 96 Bronco as well with the V8. We're making our 96 Bronco what people wanted the new Bronco to be, which is a full-size, big old V8 deal. But
2-door, yeah.
The the new Bronco, they listened. They went out and they talked to Jeep owners and said, what do you not like about your Jeep? What do you love about your Jeep? And then they just tried to whip its tail in every way. And there's Easter eggs all throughout. It's got cool off-road stuff that me and Sam and most people are never going to use, but it has it, and that just makes you cooler because you have it and somebody else doesn't. On the Mustang, you know, the rev and key fob, we're going to get to the handbrake deal here in just a second. It has stuff that are definitely enthusiast things that a lot of people aren't going to use, but the cool factor's on another level. And we ain't even talked about Dark Horse yet. We've got a whole segment in this video on the Dark Horse.
So even though the wheelbase is basically the same, they're saying the steering, the suspension, cooling, almost everything on this car has been touched a little bit.
Yep.
It's not like it's a totally new platform, even though yes, it's the 650, I get it, but it's not like they just reinvented the wheel with this one.
Right.
It's
more than a skin
incremental
change. You do have a lot of more of aluminum in your steering components. You got different design there. I don't know what the aftermarket's going to be able to do yet. It, you know, always aftermarket parts come a year or two behind a new release like this because you can't get your hands on this in advance. Tuning's going to change. All that aftermarket stuff's going to change. We're going to get into all that. Let's jump right into the interior because outside looks aside, that is the most radical change, and it's probably Ford's most radical thing since putting this new Lightning out. The biggest surprise, because I don't know which lines this will come on, and it may be that if you get the lowest level trim, you're going to get something totally different. But if you get those new dual screens,
actually I think I read even the lowest trim model gets the same size screens as the upper trim levels. There's just a break between the two screens, so
that's
when
new.
it's conjoined all as one, that's going to be your performance packs.
That's for the riches.
That's for yeah, and
so
then
the Pours will have a break.
The Pours will have the split screen between the two,
so you can look in somebody's car and be like, ah, they're poor.
So even the Pours have two huge ginormous screens like on all of Ford's upper level vehicles. So that's, you know,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you're going to get a 12.4 inch. It looks like one piece of glass across. You got this 12.4 inch, and then you got a 13.2 inch that's touchscreen. They're two screens, but it looks like one, all behind one piece of glass. I think the lady during the reveal said one continuous piece of glass like 17 times.
Yes.
But the coolest thing that you can do with the technology behind that is,
I think that they've got the Fox body display that you can pop up there is awesome. I wish that they had went ahead and done like
put vanilla ice on it.
no.
Fox body,
like had like all of the old generations displays to where you could pop them up there. I mean, it's a digital display. It didn't cost them any money.
It's programming and it's design, but I think they don't have to do that to sell this Mustang when it comes out of the gate. And I think you'll see, but I mean, we're going to talk about Dark Horse, and you're going to have some cool stuff that's Dark Horse only, but I think you'll get a Boss. Eventually you may get some Shelbys, and you'll have to buy that variant to get those gauges. That's cool because you keep it kind of limited. Are we going to try to hack that?
Man, I wish you could just buy them for $19.95 a piece.
I know, like a Ford app store.
Yeah,
be able to
just buy all the different types of gauges and stuff. That would be cool.
We'll see if we can hack that.
The materials on the inside, they're trying to step their game up. You know, they're trying to get away from the hard plasticky feel and stuff. At least everything's supposed to be kind of more soft touch from what I could tell. We're
sitting in a sticker $84,000 2020 GT500 right now. The door panels have got a little bit of a soft touch material to it, but it's still cheap. Everything rattles. The A-pillars are plastic. The parts across the dash are plastic. It rattles a little bit. It's kind of just a little bit better than a normal EcoBoost Mustang.
On the new Mustang, you know, they're bringing in a whole lot more finishes. If you kind of think about the new F-150, all of the F-150s feel a little bit better. There's not one that you just get in. Even an XL and an XLT, they step their game up. So I think you're going to kind of see that in the Mustang.
It's lasers.
Oh yeah, they're using laser design.
Yes. So you can put finishes into plastic with lasers, okay? Not sharks with lasers, but just lasers in a factory. And you can give this a lot of different looks. So right before we hopped out of Sam's truck, I counted, and there was like 6 different textures in the dash area of his F-150. And as you start tapping, it's all kind of plastic and pleather, But when you look at it, you're like, man, this kind of looks like the Bugatti Veyron. It's got all these kind of different materials, and some of it's hammered, and some of it's rubbed, and some of it's got aluminum cuts in it. So like you get a lot of different variation. A lot of it's wrapped in something soft. I think that's where the Mustang's going, and that's a good thing.
The only thing I don't like about that, they've got what looks to be fake carbon fiber laser etched, and it's like, come on guys, man. Fake carbon fiber is the most...
Well, it's not carbon fiber, it's carbon fiber. It's with a V if it's fake.
Oh my God.
It's carbon fiber.
You got me on that.
One of the more important things is the power plants. We're pumped that obviously we mentioned they came out with the 5.0 again. It's stepped up on horsepower. The EcoBoost 4-cylinder is stepped, the 2.3 I believe is stepped up on horsepower. It's always great when they give you more power. Bigger
turbos on the more compression ratio on that turbo engine. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know a lot about it.
Or that we really care.
Or that I care.
Yeah, it's not who we are. We're not going to fake that.
I'm not going to
Don't say EcoBoost again. And
I'm not going to test drive one on this channel. So we're really talking about here is the V8. Dual throttle bodies.
Yep, you got dual throttle bodies.
That's interesting.
You're gonna probably have a lock PCM, lock computer.
I'm pretty sure that's
like on his truck, like his 21.
That's the case.
Are you gonna have a Kevlar belt-driven oil pump? Are you gonna have
belt? Yeah.
Are you gonna have?
It's probably got a lot of the same changes to the motor that was in the truck.
We hope it doesn't include cylinder deactivation.
That's the big one. Yeah. Because on a truck, when you've got stock exhaust and cylinder deactivation, you can't really hear it. You have to really try real hard in a factory exhaust.
Yeah.
But on a Mustang with a V8, you've got a little bit more rumble there, and if they try to force cylinder deactivation in there, it's going to be obvious. It's going to sound like a Subaru when that activates. I hope they don't do that to us.
Here's the good news. Dustin Whipple made a post last night. We're making this video, recording it a day after the reveal on a Thursday, so we don't have information that's going to come out 2 weeks from now, but we didn't want to put out night of and not have some time to sleep on it, think on it. But Whipple is putting a kit together for the 5.0. It probably is going to be similar to what's on Sam's truck. The deal is the Mustang engine starts out with a little more horsepower to begin with. The Whipple could probably be turned up just a little bit more. So if he's 775 crank horsepower in his truck, that's obviously detuned all the way.
It's got to be 8 something.
Yeah, 8's got to be the magic number.
8 something.
If you're not in the truck world and been following the performance and everything he's done to get his to be, the best as far as the new 21s, Ford Performance came out with a Whipple kit for the F-150, and it's basically the same supercharger that he has with a smaller, I guess you use the factory
throttle body on it. Yeah,
you use a lower, a less extreme tune, so it's basically just a detuned version of what he has. They give you a little bit better warranty, so it's like they're gonna have a weak sauce version. They'll have hopefully a Whipple hot version. Roush has come out with a supercharger for the new F-150. I'm hearing, I don't think they're gonna do it for the Mustang.
I think
they got tic-tac-toed, man. Like 3X's down the middle, you're done. Whipple beats them in every single way when it comes to the supercharger on the new F-150. They don't have any reason to make a Mustang at this point. There is some custom tuning for the 21 F-150, and we're just a couple years into that now. It's not as big of a platform for tuning as the Mustang is, but Livernois,
they sell a whole lot more F-150s than they do Mustangs is the thing. So just tuning EcoBoost and all that stuff is big.
Yep.
But
it's not as drag race tunable as Mustangs.
Correct.
A lot of Mustangs, as soon as they get a couple years on them especially, become tuned, supercharged, whatever. Now turbos are getting big. But the deal is Livernois has... Livernois. They have a tune for the 21 F-150. If I had a 21 F-150, I would be able to say it right. But they will be able to do a nice tune for the F-150. Maybe some of the crack they've got will work for the Mustang as well. So maybe you get some custom tuning there. We need custom tuning, like to be able to take advantage of all these mods.
I mean, I guess the main thing we're seeing here is Ford is locking down who modifies their engines, the warranty claims and all that kind of stuff. The EPA issues, all that kind of stuff is coming to a head here. And so to actually put a supercharger on, you've got less options. You're not going to run down to your local mechanic and have them throw something on and some guy down a couple blocks tune it, and you're not going to be able to do all that just like on the F-150s now. And
it might make an S550 or older
worth more
because you can still go to the moon with it. But here's what I see. They are basically
the Dark Horse.
Think of this. Dodge has done a great job, not at making like a super high quality car, not at updating their models but every 20 years, but they've done a really good job at marketing and putting a factory package together that is awesome. The Hellcat, it's a cool name.
Yep.
It's cool.
Started out at 702 or whatever.
Blew the world
Now they
up.
make them 8 something, they just kept.
It keeps going, and they're doing something above the Demon right now for the last, and they're putting 10 new nameplates out for this last model year, last call or whatever.
Yep.
It's cool, but how many different variants of the Hellcat did they have, and the Demon shoot off and all that? Awesome. They didn't have to pay Shelby or whatever name Dodge used from the past or whatever to help tune. Like Ford has to pay Shelby when they do
a
GT350 or a 500. They've not created their own label. Like, you got Boss, you got Bullet, you got Mach 1. This is the first new nameplate that they've made in a very long time. It's their nameplate, the Dark Horse. It's got, we're going to go through it here in a second, a slew of awesome things that they're giving you. I don't know what it's going to cost. It ain't going to be cheap. It's going to cost more than a current Mach 1. It has to, because it's the current Mach 1 on steroids times 5.
I think it will cost a little more than that Shelby 350 did.
It kind of has to, because I mean, you don't get the flat plane crank and probably just as much horsepower as you do in a GT350, but there's some other stuff on it that's even more special. Dang, I hate to say that, but it's got some other cool factors.
I take that back. The 350 does have the voodoo, and that's what made that super special, because it's its own engine. The only car that got that engine was the 350. It doesn't sound like the Dark Horse is its own separate engine. It's going to have some upgrades that the rest of them
It's a little bit of tuning, a little bit of airflow. They've got some nostrils in the front. If you're just now watching our channel for the first time, or this video brought you here, we have a 2016 GT350 that we just bought that's at Fat House Fabrications right now, getting a Whipple supercharger on it. So when it comes back, it'll be right around 800 horsepower. That's a full build on our channel, so that's a decent reason to subscribe right there. If you're into high horsepower Mustangs that go rip on the street.
We're sitting in your old 500 right now.
Yes.
Getting a little nostalgic in here, but
we have a 2022 GT500 coming, and that's why we traded this one in on the GT350 that we just bought. So we're basically getting some things. It's the seats.
It's the seats, and my butt's hurting.
These Recaros are too tight. We're a little too big for the race Recaro. So the 500 I have coming is the comfort seats. The 350 that we're having modded that we already just bought has the comfort air conditioned seats, and a little bit of air on your giblets is
goes
always
a long way.
Mucho better. And I hope the cooling in the new one is just as good, because they've got that on point in their Chevys. But if you make a new brand and you start having offshoots, like they already have the Dark Horse, they'll have the Dark Horse S and R, which are basically track only cars. They probably won't even be able to be registered to drive on the street.
I don't know.
If I get my hands on it, I'll drive it on the street.
We're
in Tennessee, dang it.
They got their GT3 and GT4 cars and stuff that can't be registered. I hope that the S and the R are not track only cars.
We'll see.
Depends on what legislation gets passed between now and then too.
That's right. And what's coming down the pike. California kind of changes the whole market. They're saying no more internal combustion engines in just a few years, and other states are going to follow suit. And so we are United States of America, and I know this is a worldwide product. We're United States of America, but we have individual states that are so big, and they're such a big market. California is a huge market.
Yep.
That they can help dictate what the rest of the country has to do, because an automaker can look at it and go, well, crap, if I can't sell this car to anybody in California, I'm going to have to go by that standard, because they're 8% of our sales or 10% of our sales. And so they can change the future, and I don't like that future. There'll be some things that are good about it, but I don't have a clean air problem in Tennessee. It doesn't seem like, or clean water, or
I mean,
electricity, or gas prices. Like, everything just seems fine here, but it's not in California. I don't know what the difference is.
I guess it's their policies and government.
I think it's just because they have a desert.
Okay.
We got trees and mountains. I don't know. Anyway. So the Dark Horse name may be just as solid of a name as Hellcat. It's growing on me. When the logo rolled out,
it's the coolest logo that Ford's ever had.
Yeah.
Hands, bar none, it's cooler than
the Bronco.
The Bronco logo.
The Mach-E,
it's
whatever.
cooler than the Mustang logo.
Yeah.
You know, Ford has always had more traditional logos.
The blue oval's on the Ford GT, I think.
Yeah, it is.
It's not, I mean, I love the blue oval. I love everything they make mostly. But when you have a logo on a $500,000 car that's also on a $20,000 economy car or a Ford Transit van, and you're talking about a supercar, borderline hypercar, it's not as cool.
It's $1 million plus for most of them.
If you want to buy a new, one secondary market. Like we wanted to buy a GT. You can't just go buy one. You can get it secondary market for $1 million plus. But anyway, the logo's sick. I love where they're going with that line and how they're walking down with kind of the Dodge mentality of let's make our own nameplate. Let's make it hardcore. And then let's give it some differentiating factor. So yeah, you're only going to get up to like 500 horsepower, which, I mean, it's 2022. 700 is the new 500
something. So I'm guessing it's going to be close to the 350 Shelby 350 numbers.
Yep.
I don't know if they can get there with this new motor. We'll see.
If they put a variant out later that's some kind of equivalent to like a red eye type deal where they add a supercharger to it, or maybe it's a whole new line, they could take this thing to the moon. They've improved. I'll just go down a list. I got a laptop here.
I don't see Ford coming out with their own supercharger now.
No, it'd be pointless.
Because Whipple's already got the best supercharger package.
And great tuning.
And so I just don't see Ford coming out with a brand new supercharger design like they did on the 500 Predator motor when you've got a Whipple that suits.
Yeah,
you know, I mean,
it's better. It's better. Well, you got the intercooler on top. It's bigger. It cools better. It's better. Whipple's done all the R&D.
Yeah.
Their Gen 5 supercharger's awesome. You can't beat it. You can't beat it.
I mean, maybe there's a variant that comes out with a Whipple from the factory.
Yeah.
But as long as, you know, if they're going to sell a Ford Performance variant, who knows?
Yeah.
It's all speculation, but.
So some of the cool things on the Dark Horse, you got nostrils, grill styling, and those are actually like cooling vents. I'm reading this off because there's a ton of stuff, and I'll miss something. That's okay. Most powerful 5.0 ever. It will use the Predator rods, the rods from the 5.2 Predator motor that's in this GT500 we're setting in. So those are stronger, which tells me if we can supercharge or whatever, we've already got some better parts in the 5.0. Now people take 5.0s to 1200 in the S550 all the time on the stock block. I have personally a 2018 F-150 that is like 1100 crank horsepower,
somewhere in that range,
on a stock motor, and that's a Gen 3 motor, a 2018 truck. The truck motor is always a little less horsepower to start with than the Mustang. So we've pushed this a long ways, but if they're already going to go put some better parts in there, if it doesn't have cylinder deactivation, or if you can tune it out, like, you may have a better starting point with this Dark Horse motor. Next up is it's supposedly the most capable on the track. So if it's better than a GT350 and the new Mach 1, like, it's basically an updated Mach 1, and the Mach 1 was supposedly a little better than the 350. Take the cross plane or flat plane deal out of it. Like, they've made the suspension better than the new Mach 1 on the Dark Horse, so that's a huge plus. Even if you never go to a track, if you just drive on the street and spirited back road driving like we do, I mean, that's a huge plus. You can get a 6-speed Tremec, which I think is one of the best manual transmissions that's ever been put out in a stock vehicle. Obviously, we mentioned the dual throttle body, better cooling for everything. That's engine, intake, air temps, a transcooler, the rear diff. Like, if you get a 350 or 500 with a track pack, you get all that stuff. This may even be upgraded beyond that a little bit. So lots of cooling. You get bigger Brembo brakes. You got availability of carbon fiber wheels. And this is the first time on a non-Shelby vehicle, being the current 350 and 500, or the last gen 350 500, that's where you could get the carbon, and you had to get the upgraded R or the carbon fiber track.
It was always the top end of the Shelby vehicles that got the carbon fiber wheels. So, I mean, I know they're going to be available. It doesn't say what on.
It's late availability. Is it
on the Dark Horse?
It's on the Dark Horse. It's on all. You have to probably
God
check all the
knows what that's
boxes.
gonna cost
It's
then.
going to be stupid money to be able to get them, but somebody's going to want them. I personally, we like buying forged aftermarket custom wheels to put on where they weigh just a little bit more than carbon. They're not going to crack like carbon. They can bend, but they're not going to crack like carbon could. Next up, you've got an updated MagnaRide with a little bit stiffer springs. MagnaRide keeps those wheels planted. If you're a Mustang person, you already know, but like if that gets better, that's awesome, because MagnaRide can make this 500 ride like a Toyota Camry or like a track monster at the push of a button. So it's always better when they're upgrading software and a little bit of the properties on MagnaRide. It sounds like a lot of the suspension components on that track pack will change. You're going to get a flat bottom steering wheel, which my 500 doesn't have. I mean, it stops a little. It's barely.
Yeah.
So you're
I
gonna
wouldn't
get,
call that a flat bottom for real.
The new Corvette has a super flat bottom and a flat top, but like we have a steering wheel coming for the 350 that might be a really sick looking flat body when we do that build. The Dark Horse has a lot of unique interior trim and stitching. Blue seems to be the color that they're going with. We'll talk about a special color. Well, I'll just go ahead and say it. The color on the car, you can get a blue ember metallic paint option. And so really cool looking color on the car. You get blue calipers, which I don't know of another Ford that's got it, but it's like you get this blue caliper with a Grabber blue Brembo logo on it.
I guess it's the first time you've got to pick caliper colors on a Mustang.
This is an updated package. So like usually red is like that's your big boys on the 350R or on the GT500, but on this you'll be able to get this Dark Horse appearance package or something, and it'll go up to blue caliper. So that'll be a little stick out thing. When you got that, you got something cooler than everybody else. But I can see that if they keep going with this Dark Horse, I hope that they don't do like Dodge and you could get red seats or red seat belts with something, but really the plastic didn't change for 20 years. I mean, it changed a little bit.
Yeah.
But on the new Mustang, the variants of the Dark Horse as this rolls out, I hope they continue to evolve color themes and interiors
and finishes. I hope you get some nicer stuff with that.
You obviously can get the upgraded B&O sound system. Sam, the coolest feature that we don't know a whole lot about yet on the new Dark Horse.
The electronic drift brake. It sounds really cool. How does it actually perform? How does it work? Is it a gimmick? Let's hope it's not a gimmick, because they were working with
Von Gittin Jr., who obviously
RTR,
your drift champ guy. He's got that stuff figured out. So you got to have an e-brake on.
It looks cool.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Look at it. It looks cool.
Piece of chiseled out of aluminum. I'm putting it on the screen. I'm putting it over your face right now. So it looks cool. Supposedly it's going to be some kind of cool drift stick deal. Well, there's a drift stick on a different model. I think like a Focus RS. It's not that, but it's probably cooler than that because it comes out later. So that's going to be cool. That's another one of those things like the key fob that like it gets enthusiasts excited. That way when you leave Cars and Coffee, you don't have to like overpower the vehicle and stomp on the brakes to hit people or run into a telephone pole. You can just hit the drift brake and then it's easier to slide into people or into a telephone pole or hit a Lamborghini.
You can do it with actual skill instead of it being a mistake. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe they put that on there so people would quit killing people at Cars and Coffee, because now you can control your drift burn slide out of the parking lot. I mean, that's what inspired
Let's hope that's what it's for. Let's hope it's to save lives.
They are putting out like 6 new race variants for all the different platforms that they're going to race in. So you got like SCA type stuff where you're going to have a GT3 car, a GT4 car, which is obviously different rules, aero, power levels, cages. They're putting the new car in NASCAR.
Of course.
You're going to have a drag race variant, I'm sure. So they're not saying over the next 5 years we're going to get into racing. Like they showed us these cars on the night of introduction, and the people that are going to race those have already tested in them. And so if you've already got footage of those things going around a track, we're further along in the race program. So these are going to be out there. They're going to be prevalent. You're going to get used to the look of the new Mustang really fast.
So one thing we might have breezed over in the beginning, the car has a manual, and it comes with good manuals. Nothing else these days.
I don't know of another one. I mean, you guys
I
tell
mean,
us.
Hellcats, you can get a Hellcat with a manual.
But can you next year?
Maybe not. It may be.
This may be
come with
like
batteries next year.
Yeah, I think it'll come with batteries and like skirt.
Yeah.
But you can get a manual in the new Mustang, and hopefully that carries on for this whole generation for 6 or 7 more years. That's not to be, I mean, that's Ford paying attention and saying, even though it's a smaller group of people, a subset of enthusiasts that wants a manual, we're going to give them what they want.
Yeah.
That's no
Now,
small
you can't
thing.
get the manual on the 4-cylinder version, the 4-cylinder turbo anymore, because they just didn't sell that many of them. So that's gone to the wayside. But with your true V8s, it's still an option.
You can drop the clutch and make it rev at the red light, and you sound cool and you look cool.
So overall, from what we've seen, I mean, all we've seen is last night, the bare bones, what we read, 0 to 10. What do you give it?
I'm going to go, because we don't know some things and I haven't driven one, but seeing all the things they update, I'm the guy that always leans toward new is probably better, and Ford's not stupid. And after seeing how well they've put the new Bronco out, I'm going to go ahead and give it a solid 8.5 without even driving it. What about you?
I'm somewhere in there. I think the biggest drawback is that it's going to be locked down like the trucks are, and I'm living that hell right now.
I mean, you only have 775 horsepower. I hate that.
I've got
for
more
you.
than that because I do have headers.
He does,
But I think that's a big drawback to the new car. People will get over it. If you want to go hog wild, you can go back to the old car that's out right now. That's what's keeping it from getting over an 8 for me. That's just our opinion on the new S650, guys. If you want to check out one of our other videos, I'm going to put one right here.
And I'm going to put one over Sam's face because YouTube thinks you're going to like that one as well. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Peace.